Right now, agents are in every conversation in tech. Every vendor's pitching them, every team wants one, and meanwhile, IT is quietly working out what happens when anyone in the business can spin one up and that agent touches company data. That security question is the part that usually gets skipped, and it's the part that matters the most. It's also where Agent 365 comes in. It's Microsoft's answer to exactly that problem, a way to treat every agent as something you can see, govern, and secure, rather than a loose end nobody owns. We won't go deep into theory here. Instead, we'll head to the portal and look at the actual security controls you've got. What each agent can reach, who's allowed to use it, and how you can keep an eye on the ones already running. It's start of a bigger security conversation on this channel, and we'll pick up the rest in videos to come. In this video, I'll build an agent from scratch in Agent Builder. You'll see the whole thing, giving it a name and description, writing the instructions that tell it how to behave, adding a knowledge file, and setting the starter prompts that users get first. Then, once it's live, we'll go through what details Agent 365 actually shows, what you can see, what it can change, and where that information ends up for whoever has to govern it later. So whether you want to build one or you're the person who has to keep an eye on them, stick around. Okay, so we're in M365 Copilot and let's build our agent. So on the left hand side, we'll go to Create Agent. You have a couple of options. You can describe the type of agent you want. You can use a template, etc. We'll skip to Configure and we'll build our agent. I've already created some of this information, so I'll just copy it across. So for the new agent, I'll just give it a name, Albazir Incident Copilot. So the agent we're building is an agent for IT staff that are working on major incidents, and it gives them some of the instructions on what to do when an incident happens. Okay, next we'll give it the instructions. This is extremely important because obviously this tells the agent what to do. So basically this agent is going to help IT staff respond to incidents using major incident response runbook, which we have created already, and we'll be uploading that shortly. Okay, so knowledge base. So this is where we are going to be uploading that incident, at least the runbook, should I say. So we will upload from device, and there we have it. And we have a couple of options. You can also specify that if you want the agent to use websites, you can specify the websites. If you only want specified sources, and if you want to reference org charts, etc., you can also do that. You can then also look at some of the capabilities. So do you want it to create documents, codes, etc.? So we will say no, and creating images, we will also say no. Next, we'll go on to suggested prompts. So these are prompts that will pop up in the agent. Once you launch the agent, it basically gives users starting prompts that they can use for the agents. So we'll fill in a couple of these. It's probably worth noting that these prompts aren't the only way you can communicate with the agent. You can also speak directly to the agent and ask it questions based on the knowledge source. So we'll have a look at that as well. So we'll put 2 more in here. And then we will finish creating the agent. Okay. There we go. Let's have a quick look. So we do have the major incident runbook in there, which is great. We've turned those off, and let us create the agent. So when you create the agent, you can go directly to the agent. It'll be private to start, or you can share the agent. So let us share this with a couple of people. Let's do Edward. Let's do, yes, I do have a Thor in there. Let's do those, and we'll click apply. Close. Well, it'll update, and then we'll go to the agent. So agents loaded. We can't see the prompts as yet. The prompts do take a couple of minutes before they do appear. So what we'll do is we'll quickly go to one of the other agents I've created, which is a HR assistant agent. We can see some of the prompts in there. We'll click on those, and then we'll go back to the agent we've just created, and we'll see if the prompts have appeared. So how do I claim business expenses? So again, I've created an HR handbook, policy book, and then it'll have a look and it'll give you an overview on your question and some answers. So there we go. Let's go back to our incident Copilot, and there are, nope, that's not it. And there we go. There are our prompts. So let us click on one of these prompts and see what we get. First time you run it on a new agent, it does take a little while to go through it. There we go. And then, as mentioned, you can also ask it questions. Who are the primary contacts and email addresses? Let's see what we get. There we go. So really useful. That's our first prompt. That's our first agent we've created that I've shared. So hopefully you found that useful. But now let's have a look at Agent 365 and what we can see. So jumping into Agent 365, which is in the M365 admin portal, I will just refresh that just to make sure that we have all the information we need. And there we can see an overview of the agents within that we have available. We can see agent registry, so we can see there are 232 agents. These aren't all agents that we have built. These are agents in the registry, worth noting. Active users, runtime, etc. On the bottom right, you will see that there are 2 Albizia Incident Copilot agents. That's because I went through this previously and did create the agent, so we do have it twice. So we can see all those, but let's go down to settings and see what some of the other capabilities you can get with Agent 365. So user access, so you can determine who has access to agents. So really useful in terms of the ability to restrict access. Sharing, also who can share agents. So again, very useful in terms of restricting capabilities. Policy templates. This allows you to create blueprints for your agents, and we can see that these blueprints will interact with some of the other platforms. So they'll interact with Entra, Purview, Defender, SharePoint, etc. We'll do a deeper dive on this in one of the later videos. Next, having a look at allowed agent types. So again, you can specify what type of agents are allowed in the environment. Ones that are built by Microsoft, your organization, or externally published. And then you can also have some rules around agents. So reassigning ownerless agents, really useful. And then an overview of install agents. I don't really understand what this one does, but we'll come back to that on a later video. Okay, going to tools. So defines how AI agent models interact with user data, etc. So we can see there are a lot of MCP servers, etc. within there as well at the moment. Shadow AI, so that's actually I just enabled Frontier model earlier, so I need to look into this, but that's quite good. Let's go into all agents. Again, we can see all agents that are available, so that goes back to that registry that we were talking about earlier. We do have maps, so with maps we will be able to see all different agents, and we will be able to see once our agent start interacting with other agents, you will see a link between them. And then requests, if people have created requests or have created agents and they've requested for them to go live, they will be in there. Okay. Some of the other capabilities, if we go into the agent we've just created, we can see the details of the agent. So it gives us an overview, publisher, owner, etc. The instructions of the agent, identity, and the environment it was built. We can see the users that have access to the agent. We can see the capabilities and the knowledge. So we can see the incident runbook that it is using. Some security controls around the agent. So again, we are going to touch this in a later video, and we'll be looking at protecting sensitive data from agents. And then we have permissions, and then finally activity. So we can have a look at the activity on the agent, who's using it, how many sessions, runtime, etc. Finally, on the top right hand side, we can assign the agent new owners if we want. We can block the agent, and if we really want to, we can also delete the agent. So if you do see some rogue agents in your environment, you can go in there, you can block them, or if you really want to, you can delete them. So I think that's sort of an overview. So yeah, as said, that is an overview of creating your first agent, going through it step by step, and then also looking at Agent 365. Hopefully this has been of use to you. And that's an agent built, tested and accounted for. The building part is genuinely quick. You saw how little it took. The part worth your attention is everything around it. What the agent can reach, who's allowed to use it, and whether anyone's actually watching the ones already running in your tenant. That's exactly where this channel is heading next. I've got a run of security focused videos coming out. Why data governance matters more now than it has ever in the past, especially once agents are able to reach your data on their own. And also why global secure access has become a real part of the conversation when agents are the ones making connections. If this is the type of stuff you care about, then this channel's for you. So if you don't want to miss those, you know what to do. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.